us from the piece and what you've seen and how the process was for her. So thank you, Danielle, for joining, and also congratulations. So maybe we just give a little round of applause for her. Alright, so I think we've all heard a lot of breathing, a lot of different types of breathing as well, and I was wondering, why did you choose the topic of breathing?
I think that the topic of breathing came from an earlier research that I did as a choreographer. I was busy with my background, my family, like where they come from, and what really attracts me was belly dance. So my previous research was about belly dance as a dance form, and I was very interested about the technique. You move very different than ballet or modern dance, and the movement is much more circular and organic, and I was really driven into that. And I think the more I learned about this technique, I realized that it's more of the philosophy that I'm interested in, how you can release your organs, release your belly, and that kind of dimmed down to me in the end to breathing, I think. And after my previous solo Chaya, I decided to kind of develop that idea, and that's how I came up with the breathing.
So it comes from a very internal aspect, actually, like instead of more external, it comes from really like working with your organs and from belly dance. So belly dance was your source of inspiration, would you say? Or are there different inspirations that we've seen?
I think it's a very personal process, because during this solo I also got pregnant and I became a mother. So for me it was also about how you are feeling your body in a different way, how the body changes, and I think that the source of inspiration maybe was not only from the dance from belly dance, but also from the personal experience. Giving birth as well, of course, I think was a very important and big thing that is related to breathing. So I think it's a lot of different inspirations. I think that Corona also made me really obsessed with breathing as well, because I felt completely blocked all the time walking with a mask, and of course many people that were sick, or I think it was a combination of different things for me.
Yeah, I mean you could definitely see that pregnancy that also took, I mean I know you personally as well, but I think you could see that also took a role in your creation, I would say. And I think it is indeed a funny timing, we're just now post-COVID kind of, and we don't have to wear a mask, and we don't have to kind of like when you sneeze you get anxiety but I think it's a nice how you kind of
for me it was also important to I think that we don't take the time to maybe digest all of the things that happened to us in the last year, so it was also time to really just come back to it and try to dive into this again and give it space. I think for me it's just to give also awareness to this. We take it so much for granted in the daily life, so it's just like a reminder in a way.
So then when we talk a little bit about the process, how did you get started? How did you get started with the dancers also in the studio? So
I don't know if you all are aware that the project and the dance performance was initiated for a dance group, Rotterdam-based dance group that is called Lazy Susan and Co. And it's a really wonderful group of dancers that I have decided to specifically make a work for them. So that's how I started with the dancers. I was very inspired by the group, and I thought I want to make a dance work specifically for them. Also because I feel like I am a very serious person, and I wanted to look for lightness. Like my works are normally very dark and heavy and serious, so that's something that I was looking for, to look for a different source of different interpretations. So I came to them and I asked them, actually, do you want that I will create for you? And they agreed, so we collaborated together on that. And how I started in the studio in the process, or what was the question about?
I mean, that was the creation, I think. How do you maybe indeed you stepped in the studio. What was the first? Did you work more based on tasks? Tasks that related to breathing, or tasks that related more to the inspiration sources that you had? Maybe you can tell something about that.
So I think what inspires me the most as an artist is a lot of like my imagination. I think I always have like a sort of image or a mood board that I feel really attracts me. It can be colors, it can be shapes, it can be a specific like physicality of a movement that I'm very much interested in. Of course, when I meet the dancers in the studio, that's also a source of inspiration for me. So I really like to work with the humans and the people that are together with me in the space, and I think they influence a lot also the results. So I go in a very like open way to the studio, not knowing exactly what the result will be, and I think that together we are shaping the end product or
coming together,
how it comes together. Yeah.
And then because you mentioned a little bit before like how your pieces are a bit more heavy and that you really looked for that kind of playfulness in the dance that you've also worked with and in Lazy Susan. Were there any challenges for you as a choreographer to kind of like step into this new thing that you haven't really done so much yet? Or were you like open arms, like, let's go?
Yes, of course there are challenges. It's like, I think that I also, if I'm reflecting, I think that I never reach, you know, if I will ever make a good dance piece, I will quit my job, I think. So I think I'm always looking for new challenges, and it's never, like, I never reach my aim. I think that I always want to go further. So there were, of course, a lot of challenges, but for me, maybe one thing is about opening up your voice. I think that it's a very beautiful tool that is related very much to breathing, that I think we just touched the surface of it, but I would really love to go further with that, and I think that that's maybe, personally for me as a maker, it's a challenge. I think I'm really confident dancing on stage, but I think the voice is a very sensitive tool, and I would like to use it more in my pieces.
To use it more.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you. Interesting. I think maybe if there's questions from the audience, if someone is like, oh, I have a really dying question that I would like to ask to Danielle, because otherwise I continue with my last one.
I maybe have a question. Could you maybe give an example of where you were surprised by the dancers in the studio whilst you were working? Especially also since you're asking for things outside of your comfort zone. Maybe something that happened.
What made me the most surprised is I think that, two of the dancers came outside of the dance collective. We worked with two dancers that came from Rome. And I think that meeting everyone on the first day in the studio, not knowing how, you know, like humans connect together, for me it's always a surprise to see that they were very open and brave. So maybe it was not a specific moment, but it's more that I think dance piece cannot work if the people are not feeling comfortable with each other and let themselves be vulnerable. And they were from day one. So I could take them where, like, you know, they were trusting me, and I could take them wherever I thought that it's nice to go. And I think it takes a lot of, they are very brave, I think, the dancers.
Nice.
So that really surprised me, because, it's not always the case.
Yeah. Yeah, and the dancers are not yet here, or are they here yet? No.
Some
of them here.
Ah, yes, they're here.
Oh, they're here. Let's maybe give them an applause as well again. And maybe to kind of wrap this up, if you were to think of your whole piece, what we just saw, if you could kind of sum it up, what would be the message behind it, or what would be the kind of the thing that you would like to convey to the audience?
I don't really am the person to give one message, because I think it's really beautiful to leave it open to interpretation, but what I take from the journey and the piece, if I see it, it's a lot about like the cycle of the breathing, you know, that even if something seems like, oh, it's never gonna be better, it's never gonna end, there is always like the timing that it's the cycle finishes and something new starts. So for me it's about this continuous movement, and I hope that hope will be maybe a message to
Hope.
give.
Yeah.
Hope.
That's a nice one.
Yeah.
It's a strong one. Yeah. All right. Thank you, Dani. I
Thank
think
you so
one
much.
more round of applause for Danielle. Thank you all for coming, listening, and enjoy your drink and your chats.
Thank you.
Have a nice night.